Future Redeemed has been out for almost a year, and I love this game. It was a Xenoblade fan's dream made reality. As someone who's been around from the time when Xenoblade was just a one-off game on the Wii, the amount of love given to Colony 9, Yesterdale, and the city was especially exciting. And as I'm sure a lot of you know, almost immediately after completing Future Redeemed, I decided that I would be making an all-encompassing timeline for the Xenoblade games, which is coming along, I promise. There's a lot of words to type out, okay? And in the time I've been writing those videos, I've done a lot of thinking. Like, too much thinking. During my thinking, I realized something that I haven't seen anyone else talking about. And this thing has sort of just been staring us right in the face. A not so insignificant amount of people in the Second City's citizens can trace their heritage back to a single man, the Chad himself, Rex. And unfortunately, it's much more like a large portion of the population, because Rex is related to 4 of the 6 original house heads, and 3 of them are directly related to him. Let's start out really simple. As we're all aware at this point, Rex has 3 children. One with Pyra, one with Mithra, and one with Nia. I'm telling you guys, that picture forever changed our lives. Anyway, Pyra's child is obviously Glimmer. I don't think there's any debate there. Nia's child is most definitely Mio. They never really say it, but they may as well have. Mithra's kid is, well, we really don't know that. I am personally on the Dirk train. Mithra's kid being a serial killer is just too good of an opportunity to pass up. Dirk Nation, sound off in the comments. It's gotta be true. But either way, none of that really matters. Sorry, Mithra. Glimmer, as we know, is the founder of House Rhodes. Mio is not a founder, but she is the great-grandmother of 2 of them, Matthew and Niall. A side note, isn't it kinda weird that Glimmer is Matthew and Niall's great-aunt? Do they know? And side note, does Rex know that N is technically his son-in-law? And side note, if Dirk is Mithra's kid, does that mean that he tried to... Alright, we're getting off track. So these 3 founders are related to Rex. Pretty closely, I might add. But who is the 4th founder? Well, it's Linka. Now, it's distant, like very, very distant. Basically, Rex is heavily implied to be a descendant of Adam, and Zeke is sort of related to Adam. King Euloginomos explained to Zeke that the Tantalese royal dynasty originated when Adam first passed away. His rivals claimed to be a part of his bloodline and founded the kingdom of Tantal. And as we know, through the story of Torna the Golden Country, there was someone in particular who really did not like Adam. Prince Zetter. After Torna was destroyed, Adam went to live in Leftheria and founded Fonset Village. His father, the Tornan king, remained in the palace and died, while the king's brother, Prince Zetter, managed to escape. It's extremely likely that Zetter, or someone closely related to him, was the first leader of Tantal. And since Zetter was Adam's uncle, this would mean that if we go all the way down the family tree, we get Zeke, Pandoria, and in turn, Linka. Granted, this relation to Rex is so minuscule that it doesn't really matter, but I thought it was interesting. Back to the topic at hand. At least half of the original house heads were directly related to Rex, and one of them is kinda, sorta, very distantly related. And I'm sure that by now, many of my astute viewers have put together the problem. There's a very real concern that inbreeding has taken place within the city, and it's all his fault. He's a menace. He's a menace. Give me more pictures of Rex. Peter Parker. Now, we obviously don't know what the family tree looks like for the next couple thousand years, so we're unable to see what the extent of the problem might be. But if we look to some actual studies done on repopulation, we might be able to figure out if the city really does have an incest problem. The commonly used thought experiment for this problem is not dissimilar to the situation we have in Xenoblade 3. After a very long journey, a crew of astronauts have landed on a planet completely cut off from Earth. The question is, what is the absolute minimum number of unrelated people required to be in this community without any risk of inbreeding? And considering humanity's obsession with wanting to colonize other planets, this is a pretty important question to answer. So there's actually a name for what we're looking to find: humanity's minimum viable population. So what have scientists come up with? Well, there are a lot of conclusions that have been drawn, but let's take a look at the person who made the concept popular. The term was first coined in 1981 by Mark L. Schaffer in his bioscience article titled Minimum Population Sizes for Species Conservation. He defines it as the smallest isolated population having a 99% chance of remaining extant for 1,000 years despite the foreseeable effects of demographic, environmental, and genetic stochasticity and natural catastrophes. And genetic stochasticity, stochasticity, oh my god, what the hell is this word? He even admits that this definition isn't set in stone and that there could be some variance in the numbers. But for the sake of this video, let's just use this. In his section on genetic considerations, he has this to say. Ian Robert Franklin has suggested that simply to maintain short-term fitness, i.e. prevent serious inbreeding and its deleterious effects, the minimum effective population size, in the genetic sense, should be around 50. He further recommends that to maintain sufficient genetic variability for adaptation to changing environmental conditions, the minimum effective population size should be around 500. Michael Elman Soleil has pointed out that, above and beyond preserving short-term fitness and genetic adaptability, long-term evolutionary potential at the species level may well require a number of substantially larger population. Again, he concedes that these conclusions are pretty simplified. More work needs to be done here. I'm personally not very interested in conducting decades worth of research in hopes of finding the true answer, so for now, this is what we'll go with. If we use the model provided in the article, a bare minimum of 50 people are required to be in an initial population for genetic stability, but that's only in the short term. In the long term, the population would need to be at least 500, and I don't know if you guys would agree, but I do not think that the city created by the founders has 500 citizens. It definitely has over 50, but I would have to say that it falls short of 500. Throughout the years, many researchers have thrown out updated numbers like 160, 98, or even 80 people. But the work on this concept is still pretty early, and a lot of people have clung to the 5,500 idea. So, does the city escape the clutches of incest, or is it doomed to forever be Xenoblade's very own Alabama? Unfortunately, it seems like Monica has been living in Alabama. It's a miracle that these people have all 4 limbs, let alone have survived this long. I'm also going to point out that the lore says Matthew's family doesn't return to the city for several generations, and potential Agnes or Kavesi defectors could complicate things. Like, if a Kavesi defects to the city in multiple different incarnations and has children with the people there each time, how does reintroducing that same genetic structure mess with the population down the line? I don't know, man. I'm just making videos about the funny sword game, but hopefully you learned something. I sure know that I did, but I don't know if it's for better or worse. Probably worse. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe and comment down below, what did you think of this revelation? Pretty crazy, pretty weird. Don't know if I'm going to be able to look at Rex the same way again, but oh well. I know this isn't Takahashi's first rodeo with incest. I mean, like, he did it with Bart. Still kind of weird, though. I'd also like to announce that I have a new shirt design in my store made by P Mozzarella over on Twitter. It's called Rather Simple, and if you're a Tie-On fan, I just have to say this is probably something that you need to own. I definitely know that I will be wearing this loud and proud. And starting today, for the next week, you can get 15% off of your order on my store using the code SIMPLE. Special thanks to my channel members, and a super special thanks to Play and Polygloom, who are legendary Blade members. And with that, I hope you guys truly enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.